What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Half Nelson. I'm your host, Daniel, and we're going to change things up on the channel just a wee bit. Instead of just doing pay-per-views, we're going to cover Raw and SmackDown. And we're going to see every week if each episode was either dope or dookie. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Let's get into Monday Night Raw! This week for the WWE was unique considering it all took place at the O2 Arena in London, across the pond as they might say. And something else that was interesting this week was that Kurt Angle wasn't on Raw, and he decided to leave general manager duties to Dean Ambrose. Now if you know me, you know that Dean Ambrose is one of my favorite wrestlers. He doesn't sit there jabbering, he gets things done. And so I was excited to hear him bring that kind of attitude to the general manager position. But the universe had something else up its sleeve when The Miz showed up. And The Miz, under orders from Stephanie McMahon, was Ambrose's co-acting general manager. So it's a nice little foil. And that sort of foil between two types of managers permeated throughout the entire night. So let's get into the first match, which, dictated by Dean Ambrose, was The Miz versus Finn Balor. Great opening match. The Miz and Finn have great energy, both landing great little hits and digs at each other. And in the middle of the match, The Miz decided to do something a little sneaky, as he always does. Use his new general manager rules to force a DQ on Finn Balor. But Ambrose wasn't having any of that. Ambrose said, no. Maurice, you get out of ringside. Miz, get back in there and finish it. And you know what? It led to Balor's victory, and that was awesome. I love seeing that back and forth. It'll help build up some behind-the-scenes feuds for the Intercontinental Championship next week. Delicious. So next we have Alexa Bliss versus Mickie James. Mickie James was held by Bayley. Alexa Bliss was held by her new best friend Nia Jax. And the match was alright. Good energy, good fight. The most interesting part about it was at the end of the match when Mickie James, still there in the ring, Nia Jax just came up and delivered some nasty aftermatch punishment. This is the first time for me that Nia Jax has done really something that kind of makes me go, oh, that might be interesting going forward. Could this best friend with Alexa Bliss lead to some kind of betrayal? Will this lead to some like super tag team shakeup? Who knows? Either way, it was a pretty good match. And next we have yet another dope highlight of the night, the tag team turmoil. 4 teams, Cesaro and Sheamus, Enzo and Cass, The Club, and Golden Truth. Golden Truth were in there after a pretty heartfelt promo where they wanted to sort of reinvent and reamp their status as a tag team. But the night belonged to Cesaro and Sheamus. This new heel team is just on fire, and Cesaro is just sharpshooting and diving and pinning fools. It's an entertaining match. They have great tag team combos. If there's anybody best equipped to take on the Hardy Boys, it's Cesaro and Sheamus. The Hardy Boys even came out. They're ready to do a little pre-championship throwdown. But Cesaro and Sheamus, after fighting 3 teams, they're like, nah, we're alright. After attacking, brutally assaulting Golden Truth after the match, they're like, no, we'll be okay. You guys hang out on stage. And that's a great heel move. That's going to make this competition in Raw a lot more fun whenever it goes down. Kudos to them. But now we have our first depressing moment of the night. The fight between Kalisto and Braun Strowman. Kalisto, feeling slighted after the dumpster match, challenged Braun Strowman to a fight. Braun, with his arm in a sling, said, I'm gonna fight you when my arm's healed. Even though I could probably do it with one arm. Dean Ambrose hears that and goes, wait, what? You can do it with one arm? Do it tonight! And turns out, Braun Strowman doesn't do it with one arm. He does it with one leg. It was actually really sad. But the match wasn't about that. The match was about the big dog, Roman Reigns, coming back and attacking the crap out of Braun Strowman. And the first part of the match was fun. That part was entertaining. It was great to see these two massive titans, both injured, coming at each other to blows. But why was this so depressing? Because it ended with Braun Strowman running away. The man who called his opponent a pathetic coward did his own coward turn. And look, behind the scenes says that Braun Strowman's going to be injured as he deals with his elbow, fine. But there's a better way to write this. You could have gone with that whole Kalisto-Braun Strowman thing as kind of like a mini David and Goliath feud, at least until Braun Strowman gets healthier. Maybe even at the end of it had Roman Reigns come back and ready to enact his revenge, or something along those lines. But seeing Braun Strowman, the monster, run away is not a good look. And he might talk a lot of crap whenever he comes back, but we'll all remember. So I say that one wasn't dookie, it did suck. So next we go into my current favorite WWE feud. Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe. This is a clash of titans, bolstered by a blisteringly intense promo. This match was just two guys who want to beat the crap out of each other, and I loved it. For what felt like the first time in a long time, the conversation around Seth Rollins wasn't about the knee. Instead, the match saw Rollins and Joe trading blows back and forth. You really weren't sure who was going to get the upper hand until that turnbuckle was exposed. And Samoa Joe just went to town, smashing Rollins' face in, winning the match by pinfall. And then he proceeded to smash Rollins into the turnbuckle again and again and again. It was cruelty in its finest form, and it's that kind of blood-curdling, furious intensity that I love out of these feuds. It makes Samoa Joe out to be a fantastic heel, and I know that some people may not appreciate that, but you know what? Screw it. It's entertaining, and I loved every bloody, disgusting moment of it. Dope! Next we have the cruiserweight fight between Gentleman Jack Gallagher and TJ Perkins. TJ Perkins trying to prove himself to Neville for a title match. There's a good mix of Austin Aries popping up in there. Gentleman Jack basically got his ass handed to him because we all know we need to push the storyline forward. Kind of sucked considering the Manchester native lost in his London hometown, but it was alright. It was a fun match. It was an interesting little storyline moving forward. And then we have another unfortunate suckage between Alicia Banks and Sasha Fox. Who cares? Let's move on. Main event of the night was Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt as dictated by The Miz. And while not as dope as The Miz versus Balor, this was still a fun fight. Ambrose and Wyatt are both entertaining guys, and the whole match was filled with commentary by The Miz about how Ambrose is crap and he's the greatest on the face of the planet. Again, fun stuff. Was always going to be filled with The Miz doing some dirty deeds behind the scenes, away from the ref, and it turns out Bray Wyatt got the win. Now, I understand how fans can be salty because with this match and the House of Horrors match, Bray Wyatt is looking to be a puppet in other people's games. While I get how that can be frustrating for Wyatt fans, for me, the games that Bray Wyatt is a puppet in are much more entertaining than the stuff that he was doing for the past couple months with Randy Orton. So, I will take it for now. It may be the WWE writers are just having a little bit of time trying to figure out where Bray Wyatt's going to fit in here on Raw and which feuds would be nice to work with. But otherwise, pretty sweet match. So if we look at the matches alone, Raw was somewhere between being alright and sweet. But given the strength of the promos, the storylines, the Intercontinental Championship, Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Hardys, Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe, that pushed me way over the edge to say, this episode of Raw, May 8th, 2017, was sweet!